Welcome to the May 2025 National Housing Market Report. My name is Michael Renick. I'm your guide to the latest trends shaping the U.S. housing market. Today, we're diving into the story of caution, resilience, and opportunity, unpacking consumer fears, experts' insights, and economic shifts that define where we stand in May of 2025. I'm here by myself today. I'm confident I can get the buttons correct and tell the right story as we go forward. I've done the local market update already. We've published that. That's the Sarasota, Manatee County. But I also like to take a look at the national thing, national record, national statistics, because ultimately that's going to impact Florida. So it's important that we take a look at both. It's important that your real estate broker understands both aspects so they can develop a plan that's unique for you. So here's where the story begins. At Team Renick, we're committed to delivering data-driven insights to help you navigate the housing market. This report, updated for May of 25, is your roadmap on a national basis to understanding what's happening and what's next. Let's get ready to dive into the data. It's been provided by an organization called Keeping Current Matters. I have their approval to share this information. I use them because I found that the data they provide, they're the most transparent and most up-to-date with information that my clients find to be very helpful. This is one of my favorite charts here. The housing market can feel like a puzzle with pieces like prices, rates, supply shifting constantly. Most agents know the pieces. Good agents understand how they fit together, but great agents, they not only can explain the picture clearly to their clients, they can leverage this to develop the plan that's right for you. At Team Renick, we're here to make sure that you're associated with great agents. Let's start with a big piece of the puzzle. Let's talk right now about home prices. Everyone's asking about prices. Home prices are the heartbeat of the housing market, driving decisions for buyers and sellers. Are prices soaring? Are they stabilizing? Or at risk of crashing? Over the next few slides, we'll reveal the forces shaping the prices in 2025, starting with how Americans feel about the market today. Story takes a tense turn here. Our data shows that 70% of Americans are worried about a potential housing market crash this year. I find this particularly telling because it highlights a significant gap between the public perception and current market realities. When you're talking with each other, amongst your friends, or with your real estate agent, keep this statistic in mind. It explains how much hesitation folks are starting to feel out there and how things are changing. The concern that's having a real impact on the buying decisions today, if you look at the numbers, 32% of the people who plan major purchases this year are now putting them off. That includes 22% who wanted to buy a home and 13% who plan to sell. I'm hearing about this hesitation regularly from my clients, and I'm sure you're hearing amongst your friends and family. Is this caution is creating a quieter market, but is a crash really coming? What do the experts have to say about this? Here's where it gets interesting. Despite widespread public concern, economists who study the housing market conditions generally don't expect a crash in 2025 or even beyond. This disconnect between the expert analysis and public perception creates a perfect opportunity for all of us to really step back and evaluate what's going on and asking ourselves the important questions. Mark Fleming, chief economist at First American, puts it simply: there's just not enough supply. There are more people than housing inventory. It's Econ 101. When demand outstrips supply, prices hold strong. This shortage is the backbone of the market's resilience, keeping a crash at bay, but supply is improving. Let's jump back to the local scene for a second. Supply is outstripping demand. It's different here on Florida's West Coast. Do I think a crash is coming? Absolutely, I don't. I don't feel it at all. I don't see it in the signs. But we are a little bit different in terms of what's happening locally, and that's why we study both markets here at Team Renick. So here's the good news. The supply of homes for sale on a national basis is up almost 31% compared to last year, according to Realtor.com. That's progress, but compared to pre-pandemic levels, 2017 to 19, it's still about 16% lower. So we're moving in the right direction nationally, but the market remains tight, supporting prices. So what does that mean for price growth? Again, here on the west coast of Florida, we're seeing an ample supply of homes for sale on the market. Lawrence Young, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, sees a silver lining. More supply is easing pressure on prices, leading to moderated growth. Plus, incomes and wages are rising faster than home prices, making homes more affordable. The balance is key to a healthy market. Let's take a look at some of the numbers as we move forward. The proof. Home price growth is slowing, with year-over-year increases dropping from 7% down to 3.9% seasonally adjusted. Prices are still rising, but at a gentler pace. This moderation is good news for buyers, but the market remains stable for sellers. What's the outlook for prices? Now, again, prices are falling here on Florida's West Coast. I want to make sure we delineate the differences as we go forward. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is playing it cautious, saying the Fed needs greater clarity amongst fast-moving conditions. This wait-and-see approach means no hasty moves on interest rates, which directly affect mortgage rates. Let's explore the economic stability supporting this stance. The economy is holding strong, providing a solid foundation for housing, stable jobs, easing inflation, and steady growth. They all reduce the risk of a housing crash. This resilience is why experts are optimistic, even as some consumers worry. Speaking of jobs, let's take a look. The job market is a bright spot, with unemployment steady at 4.2% in April, seasonally adjusted. A strong job market means more people can afford homes, supporting demand. The stability also influences the Fed's next moves, which brings us to the question that everyone talks about, and that's interest rates. What's going to happen? So here's where things get exciting. Markets expect 3 or 4 federal funds rates cuts in 2025, with probabilities of 30 to 30.1% and 19.7% for specific scenarios as of May 2nd. Lower rates could make borrowing cheaper, a game changer for housing. Mortgage rates are the pulse of the housing market, affecting affordability and activity. This slide introduces projections for 30-year fixed rates, a critical factor for both buyers and sellers. Let's dive into what the experts are predicting is going to happen going forward. The experts are aligned. Fannie Mae, MBA, Wells Fargo, and NAHB forecast 30-year fixed rates dropping from the mid-6s range in Q2 of 25 to the low to mid-6 range by Q4. By 2026, rates could dip further, signaling relief for the market. Why is this important? Lawrence Young from NAR adds a surprising twist. Even in a recession, declining mortgage rates can spark home sales by improving affordability. This resilience shows a housing market strength driven by financing costs. For agents, this is a call to action. All right, let's step back for a second. We've looked at some of the national metrics. The national metrics are at some point going to impact Florida. They're different right now. They've struggled for a long time in terms of supply, the number of listings out there. We haven't had that in Florida. As I showed in the previous video on the local market for May, listings are at a relatively all-time high. But when we look at the rest of this, unemployment is low. Interest rates are expected to moderate. Most of the positive signs that they talk about on the national basis should and will impact us here in Florida. So here's the key. We spend a lot of time looking at the national scene. We look at the local scene. In order for us to do a good job for our buyers or our sellers, we need to understand the current market conditions. We listen to what the buyer or sellers, what's their objectives, what their goals, what their desires are. We put the two together to come up with a specific formula that's unique for each buyer, unique for each seller. If you don't start with the basis of the market activity, you're not going to succeed. If you don't listen to your clients, either a buyer or a seller, you're still not going to succeed. So it's putting this all together. That's why a huge amount of time is invested by myself and my team in understanding where we're at. Let's not make this the end of the conversation. Let's continue. My direct cell, give me a call. Let's talk, is 941-400-8735. I would enjoy the opportunity to continue this discussion, address any of your questions. No pressure, no stress whatsoever. Let's work together and see what the right solution is. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.